reconvene the Parker Town Council meeting for May 15th, 2023 at 7 o'clock. All council members are present. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our first item of business is we have a special presentation tonight. So I'm going to ask Ella Daniel and Avery Herbert to come join me down in the well. All right, so are you Ella?
Yes. Hi.
Nice to meet you. And you're Avery. Yeah. How are you? Nice to meet you. You're not really that strong, Avery. So tonight we have two amazing young people in the town of Parker, and they are recognized as the 2023 Teen Court Scholarship awardees tonight. So a really exciting thing. For those of you that don't know about Teen Court, you know our municipal court that we do for teens is led by students. We have student prosecutors, student defenders, and all that. So what are you? Defending attorney, prosecutor?
I've done all the roles in Teen Court, from foreperson to attorney to judge.
Excellent. And you've been the judge too.
Yes.
Well, we just hired a new judge. I didn't know we had someone there. And Avery, what have you done?
I've just been a volunteer in the law person.
Okay, excellent. And we're school today. What high school do you go to?
I Legend.
Legend and
Rock Canyon.
Rock Canyon. Excellent, excellent. We've got some new ones. Why is Josh located? Is it because there's no Ponderosa?
No, I was looking at our parents at Rock Canyon.
Okay. Is that your dad?
Yeah.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Wow, you turned out well. It's great. So Ella is going to be attending the University of New Mexico, studying film and television and focusing on documentaries. It's very cool, very cool. And Avery is going to be attending Brigham Young University, studying special education and political science on a pre-law track. Can you combine more into one thing? Can you try it?
I'll try hard.
Well, that's exciting. Well, we just want to say thank you guys for all that you've done for the town of Parker while you were here. We know that there's big, great things in store for you. So this is a certificate of scholarship that acknowledges that Ella Daniel has been recognized as the recipient of the 2023 Teen Court Scholarship. There you go. And this one is for a certificate of scholarship that acknowledges that Avery Herbert has been recognized as a recipient of the 2023 Teen Court Scholarship. So welcome, guys. And as I always tell when I talk to the graduating seniors, we know you're going to go, you're going to light the world on fire, but don't forget your hometown, okay? Come back, come do good in the town of Parker, ultimately move back. Now, if your dad's going, I don't know if you want to do that. But come back soon and tell us what you've been up to over this time. So let's give them all a round of applause. Oh, Carol, would you want to come down?
She's like, really? I'm gonna make myself short. There we go.
What are you doing?
So you could see over me.
I can see over you
Yeah.
regardless.
Oh, sure.
Karen, can I have you take a half step that way?
Well, do you want me to be on my heels then? Yeah.
Make yourself feet taller.
First take. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Couple more. 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you. Congrats, guys. Well done.
All right, we'll move on to our next item of business, which is public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for town residents and other interested individuals to speak about items that are not on the agenda. The comment period is limited to the first 30 minutes of the meeting, and if we have any run over, we will pick it up at the end of the meeting. I don't see anyone listed for public comment tonight, but does anyone in the audience have public comments which they want to make? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our reports, items, and comments from mayor and town council, and I'll start to my far left. Councilmember Hefta.
This past week, I attended the Big Picture meeting for the town of Parker with our town manager and all employees, directors, and the town staff to learn about the exciting things that the town is doing. And I did post that on my Facebook page. A couple weeks ago, I attended a video shoot with other elected officials in Douglas County on civility. And during that video, I did highlight all members of the Parker Town Council and suggested that we were a model of civility for Douglas County and that other elected bodies should probably take a cue from us and following us on how we get along. And also, I praised the mayor during that as well for his leadership ability in the town of Parker. And then most recently, I attended the Douglas County Homeless Committee Executive Committee meeting. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilkes.
Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. Okay. On the 2nd, I attended the HBA Housing Summit, so the Home Builders Association Housing Summit, just to learn about everything that's going on, not just in our state, but nationwide with the housing crisis. And then on the 5th, I attended a pop-up community outreach event that the town put on at O'Brien Park. Just got to hand out some stickers to some kids and answer any questions that people had and just, be a part of our community. On the 9th, we had the Greater Parker Foundation board meeting, and I'm super excited about what's coming with that, and I'll save that because I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not, but I'm excited to be a part of that. And also with fellow council member Hendricks did the Planning Commission interviews. And then today I got to be a part of the Parker Chamber of Commerce golf tournament at Pradera and just meet a bunch of people and answer some questions that they had. So.
Excellent. Councilmember Dyak.
Thank you very much. On the 2nd, I attended a Home Builders Association Housing Summit. The discussion was more of an economic overview at how the current economy is affecting the housing market. I also attended, on the 3rd, Dr. Cog had a special board meeting. We talked about a then live bill, SB 23213. On the 10th, I attended the afternoon session of the Big Picture as Councilmember Heffa. I can only assume you attended the morning session because I didn't see you there. On the 11th, I had an E470 board meeting. The highlight items are we accepted the audit, again, a clean audit for E470, and we're presented with an annual report. Happy to share that with anybody who has a need to review the E470 annual report. And this weekend on the 12th and 13th, Dr. Cog had a retreat, whereas the board talked about housing and a response, again, to the now failed SB 23213. Mayor, that is all.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In addition to the Planning Commission interviews, I attended the Parker Senior Center board meeting. That's all.
Councilmember Barrington.
Yeah, I had a busy couple weeks. May 2nd, I was also at the Home Builder Association Summit. May 4th, I attended the National Day of Prayer. May 9th, we had a meeting for the Greater Parker Foundation. And May 10th, the DBA meeting, and then the town Big Picture in the afternoon. I was lucky enough to attend the CU Boulder graduation ceremony where we graduated another child and got them off the payroll. Never, right? Mother's Day weekend, very spoiled. Today, I attended the Douglas County Youth Initiative Lunch and Learn, where there was a speaker named David Ambrose, and he told his story about homelessness, foster care, and what we as a community can do to help. And so I look forward to catching everyone up on that meeting. That's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's see, on Wednesday, the 3rd, and Thursday, the 4th, spent a couple days talking to government kids at Legend High School about local government and the importance of local government, and pushed our youth commission and our teen court, so hopefully we'll get some volunteers out of that. I also had the opportunity to sit one-on-one with Commissioner Abe Layden. Just talked about how Parker's going, how's it going in Parker and everything, and it was a great conversation. Always look forward to catching up with our commissioners. Last week, unfortunately, I was traveling, so I did not do too many town events, but I do want to throw a shout out to Chairwoman Iris Pixler. She is the chair of the Parker Youth Commission, and Iris was awarded the very prestigious Betcher Foundation Scholarship. Iris will be attending Colorado College. She's going to be a graduate of Legend High School. But on the whole theme of tonight with the scholarships, I just want to make sure that Youth Commissioner Iris is recognized. That's an incredible honor for her and our community. Thank you.
And for me, I had the honor of speaking at the National Day of Prayer service here in Parker on May 4th, but very much excited this week for the Police Awards ceremony on the 17th. Always a great night to find out how many lives were saved and watch the officers walk off with their trophies for the night. So very much looking forward to that. And want to remind everyone that May 23rd is the State of the Town breakfast here in Parker, and Jeremy Hubbard from Fox 31 will be our MC for tonight. So if you don't like listening to me, but you do like listening to Jeremy, come over for breakfast and stuff. It'll be a good morning. And then we also have another swearing in for 2 new officers. 1 new officer on the 24th. So a lot to look forward to in the town of Parker, and thank you all for all the hard work that you're doing around town. Next up is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with 1 motion and 1 vote. There will be no separate discussion on consent agenda items unless council votes to remove an item for individual discussion. Ordinances on the consent agenda are for introduction only and will not be removed for discussion. So council, you have consent agenda items 5A through 5J for your consideration.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5J with recognition that 5J is a proclamation recognizing Public Works Week, May 21st through the 27th, please.
Second.
Motion is made by Rivera, second by Hendricks. Rivera,
Aye.
Barrington,
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yep.
Dyak.
Yes.
Wilkes.
Aye.
Hefta.
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Next up is our public hearing on resolution number 23-039, a resolution to readopt the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan as part of the Parker 2035 Master Plan, and we will open that public hearing at 7:13. Director Colton, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We are here tonight to present you with information regarding our recommendation to readopt the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So for some background purposes, in 2018, the Parks and Recreation Department earned accreditation through the Commission for Accreditation of Park and Recreation Agencies. It's a major accomplishment for our department. Reaccreditation occurs every 5 years, and we are currently working towards becoming reaccredited this year. There are a total of 154 standards, and we must pass all 36 fundamental standards and 128 of the 118 non-fundamental standards. So it's quite a bit of work that goes into this application. As part of that, an updated master plan is one of those fundamental standards that must be met, but it just so happens the dates on the cover of the master plan show a date range of 2018 through 2022, even though the current plan was intended for a 5 to 10-year period, and that is stated throughout the plan itself. Obviously, the pandemic delayed several projects for at least 2 years, pending financial impact of the pandemic, and the current plan's goals and strategic actions are still very much relevant and currently being implemented. So an update of the entire master plan is tentatively scheduled for 2026, although that's also pending budget approval. So, as a reminder, Town Council adopted the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan as part of the Parker 2035 Master Plan. So the image you see on the left is the current cover page of the master plan, And we are recommending removing the dates as shown on the right. We shared this information with both the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Commission, as well as the Planning Commission, and both approved of the process and the change in the recommendation for the readoption of the master plan as presented. So staff is recommending that Town Council readopt the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan as part of the 2035 Master Plan. And that concludes our presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you. We will go to staff questions. To my right, Councilmember Hendricks,
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. The only question is, what does the future look like as far as future plans, if you don't mind, real quick? How do we, 5 to 10 years, we'll be introducing another plan. So this one, by taking away the dates, we don't have a risk that this is going to be out there forever. We actually have a plan for more plans.
Yes, we sure do. And like I said, we have a number of strategic actions from the plan itself that we are implementing and executing right now. But when we reevaluate the plan in 2026, that's a wholesale reevaluation of the plan itself. And that will give us our next several years of planning ahead. Right now, several of the projects on the 10-year capital plan directly are from this master plan itself. So when we revisit the plan in 2026, we will have probably still some relevancy to the plan itself now, but a whole new set of plans to look forward
No,
to.
that's what I wanted to hear, was that there's a definitive
Yeah.
plan to have 2026, and we'll reevaluate. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak.
No questions.
Councilmember Wilks.
So just to state, the reason we're doing this is because we have these award-winning parks and recreation. In order for us to qualify for this again, we need to make this minor change, correct?
Yes, and we consulted with our accreditation team, and they indicated that this fundamental standard would not be met if we did not make an readoption of the plan with the dates removed.
Perfect, thank you.
And Councilmember Hefta.
No questions.
Great. With that, we're going to open this up for public comment. Anyone wishing to make comment on resolution number 23-039? Seeing none, we will close public comment and close the public hearing at 7:17. Bring it back to council in the same order for any comments, debate prior to the vote. Councilmember Hendricks?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Barrington?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Rivera?
No, I think this is fine. I think this is just cleanup, and I appreciate it being found and keeping us on track, and I look forward to us finishing out this plan and starting the 2026 plan. Thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
No issues, thank you.
Councilmember Wilks?
No, I love everything that you guys do for our town and make sure that we have these amazing outdoor spaces for everybody to enjoy, so thank you.
Thank you.
And Councilmember Hefta?
Just to note that these standards are very, very high to meet, 154 standards for national accreditation, and have to comply with 36 fundamental standards and 112 out of 118 non-fundamental standards for such accreditation. And if you've ever traveled around the United States and you've been to other outdoor parks and recreation facilities, you'll notice that they're quite different from ours. You'll notice that ours are just outstanding, period. And it's because of the hard work of the Parks and Recreation Division we have here and their excellent management of money, their dedicated staff, which has a very low turnover, and their constant striving to meet high standards. So I just want to give a big shout out to the Parks and Recreation Division under the leadership of Director Mary Colton for all her hard work and bringing this to us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Council, with that, I'll entertain a motion on resolution number 23-039.
I move to approve resolution number 23-039.
Second.
Motion is made by Wilks, seconded by Hefta. Rivera?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Next up is ordinances. We have 5 ordinances tonight. Ordinance number 1.577 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the memorandum of agreement for local jurisdiction regulation of conveyances pursuant to the Elevator and Escalator Certification Act, Title 9, Article 5.5, Colorado Revised Statutes between the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment, Division of Oil and Public Safety, and the Town of Parker. Mr. Sale,
Good evening,
are we
Mayor and
getting an
Council.
escalator somewhere in Parker?
You know, I've been trying to push it. I'm kind
Okay.
of planning to get an escalator for us.
Okay, all right.
So, I heard there's something happening in this building. Maybe we can get an escalator here.
Might be, never know. Good evening, Mayor and Council. With approval of ordinance number 1.577 tonight, the town will be entering into a 5-year memorandum of agreement with the state of Colorado for all inspection services in our jurisdiction, both residential and commercial properties. The proposed MOA will enable the town to provide a high level of service for our applicants and our property owners. This process, as I said earlier, occurs every 5 years, started in 2013. Again, approved tonight. You won't see me again until 28, so that'll be a good thing. Currently, the town has 122 elevators, no escalators yet, with approximately 8 in the queue for this year. Last year, we also received 100% compliance in our jurisdiction for inspection and reporting to the state of Colorado. I recommend approval of ordinance number 1.577 on second reading, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, we'll go to staff questions, and we did get that on tape, right? We don't see you till 2028? Wow.
For this MOA.
Wow, okay, all right, thanks for the clarification.
You bet.
We'll start to my left with questions. Councilmember Dyak.
Man, it's a big night. we got Randy in a tie, and he has a name tag as
Got
well.
my badge on?
Just I'm overcome with emotion, people. I'm
But
good.
is there a question?
No questions.
All right, Councilmember Welks.
No questions.
Councilmember Hefta.
No questions.
All right, Councilmember Rivero.
Just real quick, obviously, we're not big enough that we have to employ an inspector to do elevators, right? I mean, that's the whole impetus to this, is that, we don't have the need to have a full-time or even a part-time employee to do elevator inspections, correct?
Correct.
And this is a fallback for those that are not big enough, don't have enough elevators to be inspected, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
No questions, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Hendricks.
Councilman Dyak has motions? Okay, no questions.
I think that's a comment. Save it. All right. All right. We will open this for public comment at 7:22 on ordinance number 1.577. Anyone from the public wishing to make a comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 7:22. We'll bring it back to the council in the same order. Councilmember Dyak?
I'm good, thanks.
All right. Councilmember Wilkes?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
None, thanks.
Councilmember Rivero?
Oh.
Councilmember Barrington?
No, thanks, good.
And Councilmember Hendricks. With that, I'll entertain a motion on number 1577 on second reading.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.577 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Hendricks, seconded by Rivero. Rivero?
All right.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks? Dyak?
Yes.
Wilkes?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Thanks, sir. We'll see you in 2028.
You got
All right. John, you got that right? Fusa?
gonna
You
let
got
that go.
All right.
We got a building code before that.
No, I hope I remember next time he comes, though, too. So, all right, next up is ordinance number 1.578 on second reading. A bill for an ordinance conveying certain real property by easement to Parker Water and Sanitation District for Tract A and Lot 1, Salisbury North Minor Development Plat, and First Amendment. Mr. Grabchuk, welcome, sir.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. This ordinance is for the dedication of a 30-foot sanitary easement along the North Salisbury Park property. This is really a realignment of an existing sanitary easement along with the realignment of the sanitary line itself. Yeah, oh, perfect, thank you. All right. So this realignment is necessary for the Cherry Creek at Dransfeld stream improvement project as well as the future bridge project. We've talked about it a bit in past council meetings in regards to a few IGAs, but this is strictly for the easement to be recorded, the new easement. This exhibit here shows the proposed easement in green. There's a gap where the future right-of-way, well, it's already platted right-of-way exists for the future Dransfeld Bridge. And then up above that in the kind of white-gray, you can see the old sanitary alignment. Next slide, please. All right. So this easement is necessary for Parker Water and Sanitation to accept the new line into their system. Like I mentioned before, it's going to be a 30-foot wide easement, which matches the existing easement. The existing easement will be vacated once the new easement and new sanitary line are in place and operational. And then the easement is going to be proposed as a part of our ongoing easement and right-of-way cooperation with the Parker Water and Sanitation District. And with that, staff recommends the approval of ordinance 1.578.
Great. Thank you, sir. We'll go to staff questions. Councilmember Hefta, we'll start with you.
Just the last sentence of this memo we have here in front of us, if you could elaborate a little bit further on this sentence. This easement is not exclusive and will not unduly limit future park improvements to this property.
Yes, and so this easement will allow other utilities to be placed either within the easement as a crossing or as parallel. They will likely be in their own easement. But essentially, this easement doesn't preclude the installation of future utilities.
Thank you.
Councilmember Wilks?
Yeah, so just to clarify, this is on town-owned property. This isn't affecting anybody else. This is just part of what we need to do.
Correct, yes, all town property.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hendricks?
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Rivera?
Thank you. So as easement crosses KOA Trib, this will go below the tributary?
Correct.
Thank you.
Great. With that, if there's no other questions, we will open up for public comment at 7:26. Anyone wishing to make public comment on ordinance number 1.578? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:26 and bring it back to the council in the same order for any final comments or debate. Councilmember Hefta.
None, thank you.
Councilmember Wilks.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Nothing.
Councilmember Barrington.
Nothing, thank you.
And Councilmember Rivera.
None, thank you.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 1.578 on second reading.
I move to approve ordinance 1.578 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Hefta, seconded by Rivera.
All right.
Barrington.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Dyak.
Yes.
Wilks.
Aye.
Hefta.
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Next up, it's ordinance number 1.579 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the right-of-way purchase and sale agreement by and between CST Metro LLC and the town of Parker for a portion of Tract A, McClotchin subdivision filing number 1. Mr. Mustow, welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you. Before you tonight is a purchase and sale agreement for both right-of-way and temporary easements with CST Metro LLC on two different properties owned by the same entity. I think this might be working now. Michael didn't have it on, but let's see. You got me? All right, thank you. So this agreement proposes to make the final acquisitions needed for the town's North Parker Road Operational Improvements Project. I've been before you several times on that project. This is the last piece we need before we can move forward with the project. It proposes to acquire additional right-of-way for Ponderosa Drive, and that is actually over a stormwater detention pond tract. It also proposes to acquire temporary construction easements over that same pond tract, as well as a small portion of an adjacent property that has a gas station on it, a Circle K gas station. Let's see. I think it's working now. So this vicinity map shows the area of these two properties. We're at the southwest corner of Ponderosa Drive and Parker Road. Right on the hard corner there, it's a little hard to see behind the shading, but that is the detention pond tract. And then directly to the south, you can see the white rectangular structure. That's the gas station property as well. This shows a shot from Google Maps looking south from Ponderosa Drive. So you can see the detention pond tract right in front of you with the gas station in the background. The new right-of-way will be right along that new side, or that existing sidewalk there. The temporary construction easement will encumber the entire pond tract as well as a small portion of that grassy slope on the gas station. So we won't be getting into the parking lot on the gas station or the structure or anything like that. And so why we need these items, you know, the proposed improvements are widening to Ponderosa Drive. We're going to create one additional eastbound lane along Ponderosa on the west side of Parker Road. The reason we want to do this is because it will eliminate a shared through left turn movement that's out there currently. That shared movement requires us to run the traffic signal in what we call split phasing. It's a little less efficient than a traditional phasing, so adding the additional lane will eliminate that shared movement, give us dual lefts, a through and a right, allow us to redo the signal and run the intersection more efficiently to get more traffic through there during the peak hours. That's what the right-of-way will accommodate. The temporary construction easements are needed to regrade that pond. We are going to be putting a retaining wall as we widen the roadway into that pond, so we'll need to regrade the pond to make sure we still have the necessary volume for stormwater within that pond tract. The easement on the gas station is just really to make sure we can tie in the grading properly. We don't anticipate a lot of grading on the gas station property. A few details, and then the last update on the project schedule. The negotiated purchase price for all three of these items, both easements and the right-of-way, is $56,384. The purchase and sale agreement does require us to close on these items prior to June 1st, so it will happen pretty quickly if this is approved. And then on the project in general, we actually have been granted all the necessary clearances from CDOT at long last to advertise the project. They did give us a conditional right-of-way approval, pending the approval and moving forward of this last acquisition. So with that, we are targeting a bid date of mid-June. Construction will begin later this year, hopefully shortly thereafter, and then we anticipate construction being completed in 2024. So with that, we do recommend approval of ordinance 1.579, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. I don't ever start in the middle, so I'm going to start questions with Councilmember Barrington.
Okay, so to make the intersection run more smoothly, you need to get more land from track A?
Mhm.
Okay.
Correct. And I can explain that further if you'd like. I was trying to be.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's,
So let me flip back to the slide. So currently, if you can picture this intersection, we have in the eastbound direction, we have one left turn lane, one shared left through, and then one right turn lane. Really, we need to have two left turn lanes due to the volume of traffic wanting to turn left onto Parker Road. So we had to have two of those. The issue when you have a shared movement with the through is you can't run the opposing left turns concurrently. So meaning the eastbound left turns and the westbound left turns can't go concurrently because you have that through movement mixed in that can't go in the face of opposing left turns. So you have to do what's called split phasing, where basically all the westbound movements get the green, everyone else waits, then they get red, then all the eastbound movements get the green. So instead of being able to run opposing movements, which are more efficient, you have to wait and go all one direction, then all the other direction. So it's less efficient, accommodates less traffic than traditional phasing.
okay, thank you, makes sense.
Great. Councilman Rivera?
No question.
All right. Councilmember Hendricks?
No questions.
And Councilmember Wilks? I know I've totally changed it up here.
So we all know that traffic is an issue. So part of doing this is being very proactive. One, not just for the traffic that we currently have, but anticipating the traffic that we're going to be getting the more that this goes up.
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Yeah, just a little bit more information on how the town hired a licensed appraiser to determine the value of these right-of-way easements and how the negotiations went on that.
Yeah, so the town, we did follow CDOT's right-of-way acquisition procedures, which includes hiring a licensed appraiser to value all the properties we had acquisitions on. The appraiser's estimates for these three items came out to just over $49,000. So as you recall, the purchase price was over $56,000, so there was some negotiation and back and forth regarding the value of the property. We landed on that purchase price as acceptable to both sides, and that's what we moved forward with.
Thank you.
Great. And Councilmember Dyak?
Are we close to any DRCOG deadlines on this? I mean, I know we've had the money for a while, the approval for a while.
We did receive a one-year extension on those
Yeah.
funds.
And
So
when
we're
does that end?
We have to bid it in the year 2023.
All right, thanks.
All right, with that, I will open up for public comment at 7:34. Anyone from the public wishing to make comment on ordinance number 9.357? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:34 as well and bring it back in the same order for any final comments or debate. Councilmember Barrington.
I think anytime that we can make traffic run more smoothly, I'm definitely all for that, so thank you.
Great. Councilmember Rivera?
No comments.
Councilmember Hendricks?
No comments.
Councilmember Wilks?
I agree. It's perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Yes, this would be allowing traffic to run more smoothly, and I also want to recognize the Public Works and Engineering Department this week as well. We had a lot of storms this past week, and I noticed that our hardworking Public Works and Engineering were out there filling in the potholes. So again, if you go to other towns in the United States, you'll see those potholes stay open for months at a time. But our hardworking Public Works and Engineering had the crew right out there filling the potholes on our Parker roads. So thank you very much for all your hard work this past week.
Councilmember Dyak.
Supportive.
Great. And with that, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 1.579.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.579 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Hendricks, seconded by Wilks. Rivera.
Aye.
Barrington.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Dyak.
Yes.
Wilks.
Aye.
Hefta.
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Next up, first of two ordinance from Parker Police, ordinance number 9.357 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the Douglas County ARPA beneficiary agreement by and between the Board of County Commissioners and County of Douglas, State of Colorado, and the Town of Parker.
All right. Good
Council.
evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present two items to you related to our expansion of the community response team. This first one is an ARPA not sub-grant, it's a beneficiary agreement for ARPA funds from Douglas County. So Douglas County, like many other jurisdictions throughout the country, received quite a few funds from the American Rescue Plan, and they would like to provide the town with $75,000 in funding to purchase a second vehicle for the community response team. I, reviewed the contract. I did not see any red flags. There's, really not a lot of strings here, so it seems like a good deal, and I'm here for any questions.
Excellent. We will start with Councilmember Dyak on questions.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Wilks.
So with the funds that we're going to use to purchase this vehicle, which I think is fantastic, have we already accounted for budget moving forward on the maintenance of the vehicle and the additional cost for that?
Yes, for the remainder of the year and then also for the coming years as well. That's going to automatically be budgeted.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I'd also like to add that we had already budgeted for this car, so this is really acting as revenue replacement. So the $75,000 we would have spent can go elsewhere in the PD.
Councilmember Hefta.
No questions?
Councilmember Hendricks.
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington.
No questions.
And Councilmember Rivera.
No question?
Great. With that, we'll open up for public comment at 7:37. Anyone from the public wishing to make comment on ordinance number 9.357? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:37, bring it back to the council in the same order. Councilmember Dyak?
I have no comments, but I am supportive. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilks?
No, I love that we're going to get another response team and another vehicle. It's perfect.
Councilmember Hefta?
I just want to recognize how well Parker works with Douglas County and appreciate these funds. Thank you.
Councilmember Hendricks?
No comments. I'm in support.
Councilmember Barrington?
Just excited about this. Thank you.
And Councilmember Rivera?
No, however you feel about the federal government printing money during times of distress, it's always good to get those federal dollars back into Parker. I'm very happy that we get to spend those dollars, and it is going to help our budget, as far as it's already in there, and we're going to get to budget replenishment, I think is what you used. So I'm very happy and I'm supportive.
Excellent. With that, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 9.357 on second reading.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.357 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Barrington, seconded by Wilks. Rivera?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. For those of you that watched the commissioners, they approved this last week. Commissioner Teal almost gave this to Castle Rock in his thing, so you know where his thing is. But thanks to Abe Layden for being there to correct him, so we got that $75,000. All right, next up is ordinance number 9.358 on second reading. A bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners and the Town of Parker for the expansion of the community response team.
All right, so part two to this transaction is a car is not really any good if you don't have an officer to staff it. And so the county has also received grant funds in the amount of just shy of $168,000 from the Colorado Department of Criminal Justice. And so they are proposing to give us that amount so that we can pay for the salary of a new officer, well, I guess an assigned officer to that car, as well as any equipment, training, ancillary costs along with that. So yeah, it's a pretty straightforward agreement. This does, right now, only last for 1 year because we aren't sure if the state will be renewing that grant fund, but yeah, agreement looked fine to me as well.
Excellent. We'll start with questions with Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. So we have 167 in the salary reimbursement, but we're waiting to find more information from the state. But we are prepared to keep that car on the road if need be.
Yes, we've already assigned another officer. We're currently looking for a new clinician as well for the other side of the week.
Outstanding.
Councilmember Barrington?
What are the hours that they work currently?
We have them working 11 to 7, Monday or Tuesday through Friday. And this, when we get the second one added, we'll have one on A side, one on B side, so we'll have coverage 7 days a week.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Hendricks?
No questions.
Councilmember Dyak?
No questions.
Councilmember Wilkes?
No questions.
And Councilmember Hefta?
No questions.
Great. With that, we'll open it up for public comment at 7:40. Anybody wishing to make comment on ordinance number 9.358 on second reading? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:41. Bring it back to the council for any comments or debate in that same order. Councilmember Rivero.
I'm in support.
Councilmember Barrington?
I think this is something that we definitely need in our community, especially being able to have an A and a B. And I remember you said something at one point that Tuesdays are the busiest day for this team. Is that still the case? Sorry, that was not a comment.
Yeah, surprisingly, you'd think that weekends would be a high call volume, but it's usually Mondays and Tuesdays that we get a high call volume. And then they'll provide a lot of follow-up for things that happen when they're not on duty. So when they're on duty, they'll conduct follow-up as well.
Great. Yep. Fully supportive.
Councilmember Hendricks?
I'm in support as well.
Councilmember Dyak?
Supportive.
Councilmember Wilkes?
I love it.
Councilmember Hefta?
Very supportive.
Great. With that, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 9.358.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.358 on second reading, please.
Second.
Was that Brandy?
Yeah.
On second. All right. Motion was made by Rivero, second by Wilkes. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilkes?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. And I'm always available to be a backup driver if you need one. Just if the budget doesn't come through, we'll do it.
What's that insurance look like?
Why do you got to go there?
Yeah.
All right, we have one resolution tonight, resolution number 23-049, a resolution to exempt certain real property commonly known as the Kings Point Way property and from the definition of subdivision and subdivided land as contained in the Town of Parker Land Development Ordinance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, this is the Kings Point right-of-way exemption plat application request. So this exemption plat is proposing to plat a single right-of-way tract into 3 separate tracts. A little history about the property. It's located on the north of E470, east of Parker Road, just north of Cottonwood Drive. This parcel is a total of 1.37 acres and is approximately 1/3 of a mile in length. In the mid-2000s, the concept of a connection between Cottonwood Drive and Aurora Parkway, east of Parker Road, was proposed. And in 2016, the property owner of the Vantage Point Plan Development dedicated a 40-foot wide parcel for use as right-of-way for Kings Point Way. In 2017, the town commenced the design of Kings Point Way. The property, however, was impacted by the existing Magellan Petroleum Pipeline easement, which allowed roadways to cross perpendicular to the easement but not run parallel over the easement. So the alignment of Kings Point Way therefore shifted east to cross only at the Cottonwood Drive intersection, resulting in excess right-of-way on the west side of the road. And in 2018, the town committed to vacate this excess right-of-way back to the adjacent properties. Thank you. The town-owned property in this exemption plat creates 3 tracts to reflect current adjacent property lines and retain the southern tract as right-of-way for the town. The middle and northern tracts will be conveyed to the adjacent property owners via separate ordinances. The 2 conveyance ordinances are on the consent agenda for first reading tonight and will be on second reading on June 5th. Staff has reviewed the proposal and has determined that the project is consistent with the master plan and that all platting requirements for the land development ordinance have been satisfied. Therefore, staff recommends that town council approve the Kings Point Way right-of-way exemption plat, and this concludes staff's presentation.
Great, thank you, ma'am. You're handling this like an old pro now. It's your second one, right?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We'll start with the grilling, the questions. Councilmember Hefta.
No questions, thanks.
Councilmember Wilks.
No questions.
Councilmember Dyak.
I got no questions.
Councilmember Hendricks.
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington.
No grilling questions.
All right. Councilmember Rivera.
And I have no questions.
All right. With that, we'll open it up for comment at 7:45. Anyone wishing to make comment on resolution number 23-049? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:45. Bring it back for final debate or comments in that same order. Councilmember Hefta.
No comments except for thank you for your hard work on this.
Councilmember Wilks.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak.
No comments, thank you.
Councilmember Hendricks.
No comments.
Councilmember Barrington.
No comments.
And Councilmember Rivera.
No, I just, I'm always happy when property is returned and or don't need it. We don't need to keep it in the coffer, so well done.
Great. I'll entertain a motion on resolution number 23-049.
I move to approve resolution number 23-049.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Hendricks, seconded by Barrington. Rivera.
Aye.
Barrington.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Dyak.
Yes.
Wilks.
Aye.
Hefta.
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Contracts over $500,000. We have one tonight, Salisbury Park North Development Professional Services Agreement for Design. Brett's coming down to present on that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'm looking for approval of a contract for professional design services for the Salisbury Park North project with Horde Copeland Mocht. And Robin Bartling from Horde Copeland Mocht is here tonight as well. As the council may or may not know, this project started back in 2009. It's located just directly north of the existing Salisbury Park Equestrian Center, and then also those 4 ball fields. There's 91 acres out there that we're going to be looking at designing here. And we acquired that property in 2009 for open space and park purposes. So it's been a little bit of time since this project's been on the books. We did go through a community input and master plan process in 2014. And that process had a couple open houses, some online review and that kind of thing. So we got a lot of good public input on that. The uses that we may include in this, and this will kind of be determined depending on our site plan that we'll go through, multi-purpose fields, multi-purpose ball fields, pickleball courts, tennis courts, play areas, picnic pavilions, bike park, restrooms, parking, landscape, and irrigation. So kind of all the normal community park amenities that you would see. And then it's also all the amenities that folks in town wanted back there in 2014. And then looking at this again, we think they're still relative now. So we went through a procurement process. Procurement put out a request for qualifications on January 20th. We received proposals back on February 10th. Got a really good response to our request for qualifications with 9 firms submitting: Brightview, Confluence, DIG, Downingthorpe James, Horde Copeland Mock, Los, Architera Group, THK, and Wank all submitted. Put together a team from various departments of engineering and planning and parks to review these proposals and score them. And the 3 firms that were selected out of that process were Horde Copeland Mock, Architera Group, and Wink Associates. The committee reviewed all the RFQ submittals and the information that they presented in the interviews, and Horde Copeland Mock was selected by the committee based on that information. So we did a 2-step process for that. So the recommendation from staff is approval of a professional services agreement with Horde Copeland Mock in the amount of $3,249,457. We do have the funds budgeted in the 2023 Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Fund. And if the agreement is approved tonight, we'll sign the agreement with Hort Copeland Mock and then move right into a schematic design phase. And what we'll do there is we'll get kind of a preliminary plan, check our program, check the amenities, take it to our new Park, Recreation, and Open Space Committee to make sure that we're still on track. Bring it back to Council, Planning Commission to take a look at the plan, and then move forward with the project from there. So if you have any questions, I'll take those now.
You know they're going to have questions on this one.
Yeah.
No question there. Councilmember Wilks, we'll start with you.
Sorry, looking at the approved master plan, I'm assuming that that's going to be along the same design that they're going to come up with, meaning that what I like about it is there's a lot of native and non-irrigated grass, and then there's a lot of sports field and things that tend to fall into what we call Colorado scaping and water conservation. And is that also, they're going to be sticking to what we already have kind of come up with on the master plan or similar?
Yeah, the master plan was, it designed with that in mind, sustainability, those kind of things. There's about 40 acres of developed land, but there's 91 acres out there, so there's probably a little over 40 that's going to remain more natural. And most of that's in the riparian conservation zone, floodplain along Cherry Creek, and some of the bike park area that was identified out there. So yes, the plan is to embrace that plan and move forward and do a site plan and just make sure everything fits and works, because there wasn't a lot of grading done with the master plan. We'll have to go through a full site plan process, which we'll get more in depth with that, and just make sure everything works.
Perfect, thank you.
Great. Councilmember Hefta?
A couple questions. So right now, there's a lot of large boulders on that property. Could you explain why maybe they're there? They're huge. Do you know?
Are you talking by the creek or just kind of out in the field? There's some
Out in the
storage
field.
that's going on out there by the parks crews. I know that.
Okay.
But I'm not aware of the boulders.
They're huge, by the way. Just take a look at them.
Okay.
I drive by every day if we're around the corner.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yes. So there's the drainage project that's going on along Cherry Creek. I think we granted them an area for a staging area out there. So those will be going into a drop structure along Cherry Creek.
Okay. And then with the Dransfeld Road extension going through sort of traffic flow situation, you're also taking into account it's going to be another huge area considered Salisbury. Any thoughts on traffic flow when this is completed? What year might this be completed, by the way?
Right now, we have it in the 10-year plan in 2020. It'll most likely be 2026 that will start the construction.
So the Dransfeld Road extension would be
Complete
by
and
that.
in place by then, yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep.
So
Yep. And then we're actually going to do a traffic study along with the park if you're wondering about that type of thing, so. traffic
and then
counts.
you, of course, has plenty of plans for shade structures, I would imagine, and benches.
We do, yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington?
Oh, sorry, out of order. When was the first pickleball court built in the town?
Whoa, trivia.
Whoa.
Mary's gonna have to-
Trivia here.
I don't have that right at the tip of my tongue.
First pickleball courts were over at the Recreation Center, and that was back in 2017.
Okay, because I saw that we had some public input in 2014, and
Pickleball was percolating back then. Nowhere near what it is today, but it was definitely starting to pick up.
all right. One of the companies that bid, it said Confluence. Is that same Confluence?
Yes. I believe so.
No, as the downtown My Main Street program,
What's that?
as the My Main Street project, it's not the same Confluence companies.
I don't, no, not as that.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Rivera?
Thank you. So just on the RFQ and the selection process, I appreciated the the interdepartmental board that looked at it, and thank you for including engineering and community development on the decision. Horde, Copeland, and Mock, do we have a history with them in the town? Have they worked with us in the town before on any projects that the citizens would know?
Yeah, and they just recently designed O'Brien Park Playground.
Oh, that's not very successful at all.
Completed.
Nobody uses that nowadays.
And they're also working on the design guidelines and construction manual that you've seen a couple times at different meetings, study sessions.
Prior to you coming to the light side, when you were over with another department, did you work with Horde, Copeland, Mock over there?
I have before, yes, in the past.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Great. And Councilmember Hendricks.
Yeah, instead of multi-purpose fields, can we just have dedicated lacrosse fields? Be great. I'm kidding. No questions.
The the pickleball people are storming the doors right now as you say that. So, all right, we will open this up for public comment at 7:56. Anyone wishing to make a public comment on this contract? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:56 and get it back to the council for final thoughts. Councilmember Wilkes.
I love that, you guys are very mindful with the water conservation and trying to keep as much natural landscape as we can. So I think it's going to be good.
Councilmember Hefta.
I'm just as excited to get this project underway, and I'm excited to see what you come back to us with as well at the town council.
Councilmember Dyak.
Yeah, I appreciate the detail of the selection process, and look forward to getting the renderings into more of a workable design.
Councilmember Barrington.
No comments? Well, I guess I'm excited.
Councilmember Rivero.
Yeah, I appreciate the tie-in to the 2014 effort. It was a big effort. It was a lot of work, and Parks and Rec did an excellent job in citizen involvement, and I'm glad that that's going to be thought of. And secondly, I am just ecstatic that we got the pros board, citizen committee sat, and they're going to be able to review this and then recommend to council. So I'm just ecstatic that this is going to be a big step for them, and very, very happy for that. It's going to be good.
Councilmember Hendricks.
I remember actually filling out my thoughts back a decade ago, I guess. I know there's Lazy River talk and Sledding Hill talk, and it's really exciting to see this finally getting moved on. And just like Harvey Open Space and this big park, take note, citizens. We're doing some cool stuff with outdoor spaces.
With that, I will entertain a motion on the Salisbury Park North Development Professional Services Agreement for Design.
I move to approve the Salisbury Park North Development Professional Services Agreement for Design.
Second.
Motion is made by Wilkes, seconded by Rivero.
Aye.
Barrington.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Dyak.
Yes.
Wilkes.
Aye.
Hefta.
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. With no further business before the Parker Town Council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.